2 questions. Are all police officers heroes? Second question, is it always a right-wrong scenario? What if it's 2 cases of wrong? That's what we're talking about today on the Brewmance podcast. What's going on? My name is Rob Hunter.
I am Mike Russell.
We are the Brewmance, celebrating life with good friends and great drinks and restoring civility one sip at a time. The whole point of this Brewmance podcast is to get together over a beer and have interesting discussions. And I think Mike, what you and I do so well is, if I can pat myself on the back and you on the back, we have open-minded discussions. We don't judge each other. We just let our opinions out, see what happens.
Correct. We do. And I prematurely opened. I had a premature open right there. My fault.
What do we got today?
Orange.
Happened just
Blossom
once. Just this one
Brewing
time.
Company. Orange Blossom Brewing Company. This is not Orange Blossom beer, apparently. This is a Honey Pilsner. This is there, but it says Orange Blossom Pilsner. Their branding is a little off, but I'm in to dive into it. They
have a section, like a triangle on, I guess it's a rhombus or something on the front. OBP.
Woo!
You down with OBP?
Right, that is sweetness.
So this is from my father-in-law, Dad Yak, brought this back from Florida on a recent trip. So he's like, hey, you guys got to try it. Put it on the podcast. So here we are, Orange Blossom Brewing.
Okay,
Lakeland, Florida.
So father of Lady Brewmance brought this back from Florida. Now, he tried this, liked it, and brought it back, or just brought back a whole grip of Florida beers?
Yeah, brought a whole bunch of Florida beers back with him, and
okay,
there you go.
Yeah, because this is super sweet.
It is super sweet.
This is almost Natter Days sweet.
No, it's not. You didn't even try the Natter Days. Check out the video on YouTube.
I smelled it.
You did.
Almost tasted it.
But this has honey in it, so it's naturally made.
Now, we did a honey beer, which was absolutely fantastic with Suntan Honey Farms.
Heck yeah.
It was good.
What up, Santos?
What's happening,
man?
What up, Oso? So let's talk about this. There was, here in Arizona, we've made some headlines, once again, as we like to do, and usually it's for stupid politicians. But this time there was a little beef with the Thin Blue Line. So the story goes,
there was an arrest, I think it was back in May 2019, a family, man and his fiance were in a dollar store. I think it was a dollar store.
It was a dollar store, yeah.
And the story started that their kid, who was in a stroller, took a teddy bear or something like that out of the store.
Yeah, Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie doll out of the store. So police get called, and then all you see was the video. So the video came out of the arrest. Now, the first original reporting of the story skipped a couple of steps, which I'll let you explain in just a second, Mike. But the story here was how aggressive the officers were. There was one officer, I won't name him because he's already been publicly shamed a million times. It doesn't matter. That's not the point of this conversation. But he came out hot out of the car. There was video of him yelling at this guy, get on the ground. I'm going to put a blanking cap in your blanking head. This officer has been fired by the Phoenix Police Department.
That's right. And there were other cameras pointed at the other officer that was trying to yank the baby out of the mother's arms. The mother didn't want to put the baby down because it was the middle of the heat season. It was 100-something degrees.
Yeah.
Didn't want the baby on the ground. This, that, and the other thing. It was a debacle. It was a you-know-what show. From the minute all those cars stopped and people started getting out of the cars, it went crazy. The family was trying to sue the police department for $10 million for the incident. That is still unresolved. But like you said, that officer has lost his job, and our police chief, the Phoenix Police Chief Jeri Wililams, she had a press conference and was very adamant that we don't stand for this type of behavior. Some people are saying she was just bowing to pressure.
And that's why we bring up this question, are all cops heroes? The obvious answer to that is no. Some cops are just jerks. Some cops are just not fit to be. Now, the question is this particular officer, did he go above the line? There are differing opinions about this. That's why we're having this conversation. I happen to think, yes, he did go above the line. I don't think I want police officers in my community, Phoenix, Arizona, no matter the circumstance, that come out and say, I'm going to put a blanking cap in your head.
Now, I'd have you pause right there when you say, no matter the circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. I have been, and I think you have too, right? You've been through the police shooting scenario videos.
I have.
Where you are playing a video game. There's a big screen in front of you, and you are the cop. You are brandishing your weapon. You are pointing it at the suspect, and you've got to figure out what in the heck to do. I'm not kidding. I was amped. My fight or flight was going off. My pulse was up. Everything was firing off, including my firearm. I about damn near shot everybody.
Yeah.
They put you in. They put me in an Iraqi checkpoint at what? Everyone got shot. And because I was so amped and I knew I was playing a video game. Rob, I knew this was a screen, and I was sweating.
Well, sure.
I can only imagine if this was real life. So firing somebody for what came out of their mouth that wasn't racially insensitive, although it was a white cop, black man, I don't know if that's a fireable offense to me.
See, here's why I think it is. I don't mind swearing. I don't mind the F word. That's part of life. Most people that I know say the F word. I admire you if you don't say the F word because I don't have the censorship of myself to be able to do that.
I say it a lot.
I do too. We don't do it on the podcast, but we do it in conversation. We keep it off the podcast for you. But I think when you're in that circumstance that you're face-to-face with someone, he's not pointing a gun at you, he's not shooting at you, he's not charging at you, you went above the line. Because, look, you have a badge, you have a power, you have to have respect of the rule of law, and you have to have respect of community to be able to police the community. And I think if your anger issues, understand, because even in the video game, my senses were amped up like nothing else I've felt before, at least as a video game play goes. But I mean, that mirrored real life in many ways. And real life is probably 1,000 times more amped up, and your nerves are going crazy because your survival instinct is kicking in, etc. But I think even if you were someone, I would rather you respond a different way. Like, there's certain things I would have in mind. I don't care if you say, get on the blanking ground, what the blank are you doing, so on and so forth. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with an officer threatening to put a cap in someone's head, ever.
Okay. All things considered, if it were, okay, the baby just came out of the young child just came out of the dollar store with a Barbie doll, cop was called, and they were standing in the parking lot still loading up their car, and they handed the Barbie back, we were jumping over a line. What is missing from the video of the story, and a lot of people didn't get the story, is that they fled from the cops not once, twice. And I'm not talking about running flee. I'm talking about in a car, now you're being chased twice. Mm-hmm. If you're like me and you stop every single time you see a high-speed or low-speed car chase on the news, I stop and watch. Maybe it's the Southern California in me, but it's the big thing in Southern California. I like to watch it. How do those always end? That whoever it is getting slammed to the ground. Those cops are completely amped out of their minds because they're almost hitting cars. They're bumping into things. It's a dangerous situation. That adds to this incident for me.
And I'm okay with, again, if he ran out of the car yelling the F word 1,000,000 times, I'm okay with that. But if he's
blink, 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 blink.
He is threatening to kill someone. Let's keep that in mind. That's the problem here. Officers of the law should not threaten to kill anyone ever. And if you can't keep your language under control, what else can you not keep under control? I understand that you're amped up, and I actually respect the fact that you're amped up. And had you not threatened to take someone's life while wearing a badge and a uniform, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
How about I'll blank and kick your blanking ass?
That's okay.
Okay.
I would prefer an officer not do that, but that is not threatening to kill someone.
And I wasn't even looking at it from that angle. I was looking at it from the cop's angle, and now I am too. It could be those words coming out of your mouth and threatening to end someone's life if they do not move one leg to the right and one to the left. I understand what you're saying there.
See, but that's the whole point of the Brewmance. We're sitting down over beer having conversations. We're letting each other explain our opinions, and I'm not automatically jumping on Mike because he disagrees with me. That's not the point. I want to hear what he has to say. What? So, but add the police chase into it, too, because it does change this scenario. And what I'm saying, too, is both are wrong. I'm not excusing what, and this is how we often debate in this country, especially through media channels, Mike, and you know this. So we're saying one has to be right, one has to be wrong. So either the officer's right or the kid is wrong. And he's not a kid, he's like 30 or something like that. Kid to us. We're in our 40s, which is sad in and of itself. But I'm saying both are wrong. And obviously, I don't think this family deserves $10 million. They're suing to get a settlement, hoping $2 million. The city wants to shut it up and go away. That's clearly the tactic, what the lawyers are trying to do here. They're both wrong. And they both should be held accountable for being wrong. We don't automatically have to say, well, because he's a cop, he's right, and because that guy stole something and had a DUI arrest, which he did, and he kind of got rough with the cops like 6 weeks ago in Tempe, the officer might not have known that. Maybe he did while pursuing that guy. Still doesn't matter. They're both wrong.
It's not if you have a beef with the cops 6 weeks ago, your daughter steals a Barbie 6 weeks later, and you flee from the cops. It is not and I'm coming with you on this, it is not worthy of having your life threatened at gunpoint by a cop. I do agree with that.
Unless you're threatening the cop's life.
Now, Jeri Wililams, a black woman, is the police chief here in Phoenix. This is where now the optics are involved. White cop, black family, black baby, screaming and crying and hollering. She's a black woman. The optics are, if it were just the white couple with a kid, same thing happened, this guy wouldn't have been fired.
And especially if it wasn't caught on video.
Correct.
But that's the difference. So, my buddy Rob is a retired New York City police officer, and he served in the 90s. He joined the force in 91, was out by 2011, did his 20 years, smartly got out. But he said, I couldn't imagine being a police officer now because the scrutiny is so much different because people are recording you all the time. People pull over regular traffic stops, and I've seen and I'm a libertarian politically, but I've seen libertarians be complete jerks to police when they pull them over.
Sure.
Just to prove a point, and so they can maybe go viral, and they're recording the whole thing on their cell phone. I'm like, what purpose are you serving right now? So in that instance, even though I'm a libertarian, I don't want the police officer to search my car, I'm not going to record the officer and I'm going to try to get you, and I'm going to mouth off to you and see how aggressive you get with me, because that's just dumb.
Right, because going back to siding with the police officers here, is that when they do pull you over, they know the only information they have on you is your license plate. They have the information on your car and your registration. That's all they got on you.
And they don't even know if you're driving a car.
Exactly. You could have just broken out of jail and stolen this car. They don't know who you are. You could be armed. You could be just have a vendetta against cops. It could be any type of scenario. So be cool.
Yeah.
Who cares? You can make the libertarian decision. Do I let them search my car without a warrant? Do I step out without a warrant? You can make that choice on your own. But, officer, what do you need from me? Here's my license. Here's my registration. Do you mind if I reach for it? It's over here. You be respectful. Life's just going to be easier for everyone.
Well, that's the opposite scenario of what we're talking about. So in this particular Phoenix police scenario, both sides were wrong. Why don't you be both sides right? So the officer's trying to do his job, and ultimately that officer's trying to go home at the end of the night. Mm-hmm. And chances are, I don't know if 100% of officers are going to run into a burning building or are going to respond to a robbery that's at your house or whatever, but 95% of them are going to rush to get there, and they're not going to ask questions until it's done. So when you need a cop, they're the ones running to. It's their job, and they understand that. So when they're pulling you over, you may not like getting pulled over, but just handle it the right way, because then you have two rights rather than two wrongs that escalates into a potential situation that might get caught on video, and you might be internet famous and suing a city for $10 million.
Then put your feet in the shoes of the dad, the father in this thing as well. He had a run-in with cops 6 weeks ago, and he got physical with the cops. He was drunk. Okay, I've done stupid things when I'm drunk. I get it. I'm not excusing what he did, but still. Now, his daughter steals something. He's like, oh, my gosh, what is this? I don't understand the law. I don't know how these two stack on top of each other. I might be going to prison the rest of my life. He's amped up out of his mind because his daughter grabbed a Barbie doll. It's just It's a circumstances type of thing, which both sides, I don't even know how you do it. I don't know how you find two rights in that and expect them as humans to act that way.
Yeah, and it's
a tough one.
And it is a tough one. And I think that we've sort of been, and I hate, condition's the wrong word, but we've sort of brought up an American culture, which is okay, that we respect police officers. And I think most of us do, although I think that's changing a little bit. I think less people respect cops just on principle now than they probably have in a long time.
And I think that comes from a different part of our culture. I think it comes from the majority of men and women that say they want to be a police officer and want to go into law enforcement. Back in the day when it was Phoenix's finest, LA's finest. These went to an academy, the top of the class. Those were the ones that got the assignments. Those are the ones that were put in blue. It was a big thing. It was a respectful thing. They worked towards it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people I've heard say, yeah, I just lost my job. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'd probably just go be a cop. It's a mentality. Like that anyone can do it, which is wrong. anyone cannot do it. And
Nor should everyone do it.
Oh, amen to that.
That'd be a horrible cop.
It's like in the firearms world that I'm in, my outdoor world. I really love it when people say, you know what, firearm ownership is not for me. Great.
That's exactly
I would really love for you not to have one
if
you don't think you can handle it. And if you don't think you can handle being a cop, don't be a cop. I think it was a sociological shift, and it's hurt the department, it's hurt their image, it's hurt, every department's hurt the police force nationwide.
And then you add the cell phone video factor to it, that we all have cameras in our pockets, and I'm talking about of adults, 15 and up. Not that 15 is an adult, but 90% of us probably have a video camera in our pocket or on our person at almost all times.
The 30% of 8-year-olds have smartphones.
Wow. That's frightening.
I just heard that yesterday.
Yeah.
I about fell over. I think it was frying an egg, about fell in the kitchen.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, this is the thing. This is where I wish the debate would go as well, Mike, around this country, is that just because I might question what an officer does not mean I do not respect the badge and respect the blue.
Correct.
And want every officer to go home safe, because that's true. But we've created this all-in or all-out mentality where I'm like, no. Just because I like cops, I respect cops. If I ever get pulled over, I'm going to treat the cop with respect because he or she, they're just trying to do their job. And I probably did something wrong.
Yes.
Even if I think I did not, there are ways to challenge it that go outside of being a DICK to the cop.
Right. And I agree with that. But you touched on a point there that I want to hone in on, is when you say I probably did something wrong. Cops aren't in the habit of just pulling people over for pulling people over. I don't care if it's rolling through a stop sign. By law, you just broke the law.
Correct.
Rolling through, and as much as that ticks you off, and as everyone does it, and you've done it a million times, you've broken the law, and if you see lights behind you, man, you did. You got busted.
Mm-hmm. And again, challenge it the right way. Let the cop do their thing. And here's the real problem goes back to state legislatures who give the cops the tools to be able to do it. The cops don't write the laws. They just enforce them. In fact, there's the movie called Just Watch, I think, End of Watch. Jake Gyllenhaal's in it.
Oh, okay.
And forget that. Michael Cena? No, not Michael Cena. He's the guy from... But anyways, I'll look it up here in just a second. But Jake Gyllenhaal's the main actor in it. And there are officers and they're on beat. And there's a section where he gives a monologue at the very beginning. He goes, I'm an officer. I enforce laws. I don't make the laws. I might not even agree with the law. But my job is to enforce the laws. And it was such a great way to put it, because I don't think I'd have thought about it in that context. And here in Phoenix, where we used to live, we were in Maricopa County, which is one of the larger counties land-wise in the entire country.
Yes.
We had a sheriff named Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
You're bringing Sheriff
I'm
Joe
bringing, but here's why.
I love
People used to get mad at Sheriff Joe because he enforced the law. I'm like, you should get mad at the people who create the laws, because what they're doing to Sheriff Joe and other police departments is saying, look, we're going to make a toolbox for you. We're going to give you every single tool in an aisle of Home Depot. Some cops are going to use every single tool. Sheriff Joe was one of those cops that used every single tool, even bent the tools a little bit to try to make sure they fit in the toolbox.
Yes.
But
and then a lot of cases became a tool.
And that's exactly right. And he obviously became, not only that, but a cartoon character of a law enforcement figure. But you go back to who makes the laws. That's ultimate. So as a libertarian that's being true to the word, I don't blame the officer for having the tools or using the tools. It's not his fault or her fault that someone gave them the tools to use to pull you off rolling through a stoplight or red light or whatever.
In the most part, I am a fan of, you talk about cell phone video, cell phone cameras. I like the chest cams. I like the body cams the cops are wearing because it catches most of the story, a lot more than a cell phone video is going to catch. Usually the cell phone is going to catch the end.
Yep. Well, just like this story, there was the two chases that were not unveiled until a week later.
Correct.
And we have no patience in America. We've already formed our opinion before the facts are out.
Right. And by the way, just knock this garbage off. Knock this garbage off. Well, they stole something. They shouldn't have stolen something. It was a little girl. Little girls do stupid stuff. First thing I ever stole as a human being was I think I was probably 5. I stole a Super Ball, a little bouncy ball from a drugstore. Oh, man, I was guilt-ridden for a week.
Yeah.
And then I got over it because this bouncy ball is awesome. But you know what I mean? My father shouldn't have had a gun pointed to his head and somebody told him he's going to pop a blanking cap in his, that doesn't make any sense.
And just because I'm saying that I don't think officers should threaten people's lives does not mean I like cops. Again, it gets back to that we're all in or all out mentality, which is not true. And just because I like cops and respect cops doesn't mean I think we can't be policed better. We as the community have a right to determine how we're policed.
Yes.
We don't like something, we can say, well, we don't like this. We want policing to be better. And that is not saying we hate cops. We don't like cops. We just want, to have a line where we're like, because let's talk about disciplinary action for this officer who said, I'll put a cap in your head.
Okay.
How do you train him not to react like that in a stressful situation?
That you cannot.
That's my problem.
That he needs to go to a desk. I would suspend him and put him in a desk job. Period. I don't think I would fire him.
Now, would you be arrested if you came to me and said, I'll put a blanking cap in your head?
No.
If I called the cops and said, Mike Russell just threatened me, he was going to put a cap in my head, you'd probably at least be arrested.
Oh, I'd see some lights, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it just depends on how much they would want to press that
case.
Point.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. So if an officer is held to a different standard than a citizen, that's wrong.
And I'm with you on that. I don't know if it rises in that situation to a fireable offense because of how hot it was. The life-threatening there needs to be disciplinary action, and they need to basically get a desk job, and they don't need to be in the community. They can push paper and then decide for themselves if that's what they want to do with the rest of their lives or they want to go do something else.
I mean, that's a good middle compromise. I have to go with what I think, though, because he threatened someone's life, even in a stressful situation, it's just not called for.
Oh, I agree it's not called for.
Sit the F down. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with not called for, though. I do. Let me ask you this. Are you intimidated by cops?
No.
You're not?
Mm-mm.
I am.
Really?
I don't know why. I get nervous around cops. I haven't done anything wrong, but I was getting nervous around cops. We could be at a barbecue. They're like, here's my buddy Bill. He's a police officer. Yeah. I'm like, uh-oh. Ruh-roh. What am I doing?
Here's why. Because they have a million tools in the box. They'll find something if they really want to. And this is what we just have to realize as Americans. And this, again, is not a police officer's fault. This is lawmakers, whether it's politicians in Washington or in Phoenix or wherever you happen to live. They're the ones that are making these laws that give the police all these powers. So if you're scared of the cops, it's not because of the cops. It's because the cops have the entire toolbox. And like, wrench today or screwdriver? What about a hammer? What about a wet saw? I got that in the toolbox, too.
Wow. You know what a wet saw is?
I do.
Proud of you, man.
I've never used one, but I know what it is.
Proud of you, man.
Learning things to become a homeowner. Shoot. Got to fix stuff.
So proud of you, man.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about this. Well, actually, let me just weigh in on this. We would love to hear from you on this because this is obviously a very divisive issue. And again, what we do here at the Brewmance, Mike and I, we do not judge people. Michael Pena, by the way, is the guy's name. Michael Pena. I was on the right track.
You were.
He was in that movie Just Watch. But we don't judge you for your opinion. We don't get mad at you for your opinion. We can handle other people's opinions, especially if we do it over a beer. It's like, let's talk it out, see what's going on. Get to your root.
I came up with this week. I hate sardines. I hate anchovies.
Yeah.
I don't like them. I love seafood. I just don't like either of those. If you love them, and I have good friends that just absolutely love them, why would it mean I hate them? I think that's gross what you eat. That's disgusting, but I still like you.
Right.
If you drink Bud Light, okay, I don't drink Bud Light, but it doesn't mean I don't have to like you.
And hang out. You can drink a Bud Light. I'm going to drink my Orange Blossom Pilsner with honey in it.
All right. Let me talk about this real quick. This
Please.
Orange Blossom Brewing, this Honey Pilsner. I hated this beer at its first sip.
Really?
I thought it was awful.
Huh.
I absolutely thought it was awful. This thing is mellowed out, settled down. The aftertaste blends with each new sip. I'm liking it more and more as I get through. I'm not a super sweet guy, so in a lot of ways, I'm not very sweet. But I don't know if I would reach for it again because of its sweetness. But I don't hate it anymore as I'm halfway through the can.
See, I like it because it adds a little element to a Pilsner. And certain Pilsners are really good. Certain Pilsners are really good only cold. Certain Pilsners are well-made. Others are average or generic. This just adds a little something to it to appeal to my sweet tooth. So I kind of dig it. Orange Blossom Brewing, Lakeland. I think it's Lakeland, Florida.
You're a Skittles, dude.
That's
so
true.
That makes sense.
I have a sweet tooth.
Yes.
So this appeals to my sweet tooth while still drinking a beer.
Nothing sweet in me, champ.
Nope.
Nope, not a tooth.
And that's okay.
Not a heart, not a soul.
Not a soul, but there are 2.3 teaspoons of pure orange blossom honey in every can of OBP. So I'm going to hook it up. I think I'm right at like a 7.5.
I am because I like good math and easy math, I'm going to go ahead 6'5".
6'5" plus 7'5" puts it right at a 7. So if you're ever, I think you got to get it in Florida. So if you do see it, give it a shot. Orange Blossom Brewing Company's Honey Blossom, or I guess it's Honey Pilsner.
There's a lot of words going on
It
here.
is.
There's Orange Blossom Brewing Company, Orange Blossom Pilsner, Honey Pilsner. There's a lot of different words happening.
It's all good.
Not worried
Pretty
about
good
it
beer.
at all.
Pretty
Yeah.
good beer. We give it a
Not mad
7. We're having another interesting conversation. So this is our podcast. We have a radio show on Saturday nights at 550 KFYI. 2 ways to listen. You can listen live on 550 KFYI. You can also type in KFYI on your iHeartRadio app. Stream the station live, or you can just catch it as a podcast right here where you listen to your podcasts as well.
Every single platform you can find a podcast, we're there. Until next time, until the next podcast. Cheers, everybody.